What up, familia? It's your favorite Puerto Rican Brooklyn Philly here again with another message. I'm going to be straight up. The first maybe 15 minutes of this video are going to be or so truly what I've channeled so far. So without further ado, this morning has been filled with the following. Relationships can't be built based on hope versus reality. If there is an emotional toll on the person and relationship if one builds it on hope or potential rather than clearly seeing the relationship and or the individual for who we are. It causes one to feel pressured and the other to feel unfulfilled. The one being pressured, meaning being pressured to change or to become something, right? While the other one, until that person becomes something and or change and transforms, they're unfulfilled. Change and growth is possible in a relationship, but not forced or coerced. Rather, it must be organic and self-motivated. When we do not operate from that vantage point or that ideology or that intentionality, I'm hearing, it shifts responsibility of growth onto the other, whereas we are all responsible for our own growth and we should maintain our own self-accountability to change whatever we deem even needs to change. A lot of the times we're expecting others to change and we want them to change, but they themselves feel perfectly fine with whatever they are, wherever space and place they are at, particularly at that moment in their life. So yeah, there was this message of acceptance, not transformation, because relationships must be built on authenticity. And when we fail to accept for someone for who they are and mandate or require them to transform, then they are unable to be authentic. I heard, you see me as Bambi, but you fail to remember it is Bambi and friends. And I got the understanding that in the Bambi movie, I believe one of the parents was murdered. Bambi looked, very docile, innocent, fragile, that can, I'm hearing could be bullied, could be taken for granted. But it is almost the very fact that Bambi is so innocent and pure and what some would call naive or docile, that then allows the friends of the forest to help Bambi, right? To get all the assistance Bambi receives. And I heard a young lady, I don't know if she's young or old, and she brought that up about Bambi. And then these are the thoughts that came out for me that, well, she related them to the ancestors, right? Or a divine help. And I too can, heard it that way, that the people who saw you as naive and docile, maybe non-threatened, like I just heard perfect prey, although that may or may not be true, they fail to see the divinity in you and all around you, conspiring in your favor to help you. And I've been getting themes throughout the last couple of weeks, or more rather, of those characters in like the movies or even the cartoons. And now I'm seeing the baby who, I'm dating myself, but where the baby is going through like a construction site, and every time it's about to fall off the ledge, one of the other like iron bars come in and they're about to fall into the manhole and the slide comes in. So the innocence of this child, the naivety, right? And the child has no clue that it was in not only 100 possible dangers, but not even a one. Is never privy to even see that they were subject to that danger. I'm hearing it's been like that for you in your life, or it seems to be that way, particularly almost in all these quote unquote sticky situations And people will see that you almost fell in the manhole, or that this and that. So they see it as pure dumb luck, or that you're so naive, and that's what makes them think that you're prey. But they are not seeing that the very things that they just call dumb luck was this, either your ancestors, divinity, whoever you called your protector, protectress, that is creating these scenarios to assure your safety, that then also protects them against those predators, them, right? Them as the predators. And that's what baffles them and even angers them, because they're like, what is going on here? I saw him or her. I saw how naive they were. I saw how docile they were. I saw how childish or immature, or how big of a heart, how much of a sucker they were. They even showed it to me because they were kind to me, or I was able to get away in their minds with what they thought was something. But they didn't fail. They failed to see that, no, if they looked closer, no, it wasn't that one, because it's divine protection. And also, we live in a society, I'm hearing, that we believe that people have to be shrewd and logical only, and preemptive, I'm hearing. Um, um, and if you're not behaving in that way, then you're easy prey. They can't fathom or believe that someone with a kindness or a pure heart or innocence can get by or succeed, right? They're so used to the world being or operating, because it's not that the world is that way. They view their worldview and their modus operandi, I heard, is based on trickery and manipulation and lies and omission, right? Lying through omission, and scheming and plotting, and studying you, kind of the way like a pickpocket person would, or something, right? Or a person that wants to manipulate or prey on people via their human behaviors. There's a psychology behind it, right? They tell you, right? Like I'm hearing, like in this book that we'll touch on shortly, The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene is telling you, right? There's different people in it that tell you this is, read people's eyes, read people's body. And it's not that there isn't any truth to it, but there is something bigger, right? If you just contend or subject yourself to thinking that this type of shrewdness, I'm hearing again, is the only way, there is, I'm hearing, a bigger force, this force of love and innocence, right? That will always, I'm hearing, win in the end, overcome, overshadow, right? Now I'm hearing like the hero's journey, right? Where you think that the hero is down and out. I just watched, well, I can't do that. Well, a popular kid movie. I went yesterday with my grandkids, and like in most of these movies, the heroine or the hero looks like they're counted out, down and out, and they thought, the story is over, they lost, and the villain thinks he or she wins, and surprise, no. And it was the very act of vulnerability, right? The very act of like this self-sacrifice that to the antagonist seems foolish, right? And even the person's demise, right, becomes the very weapon for them to succeed and overcome and become the victor. And then I heard that's the true underworld journey. Then they gave me the story of the little match girl, which she stood outside, right? It's like reflective of the Five of Pentacles in tarot, where the people are walking by the church is lit up, you can go inside, there's warm, it's cold outside. I'm hearing it's cold outside. It's the song, Christmas song now. Let it snow, let it snow, let it. So it's snowing outside and all of this. the church light is on, but people refuse to go in. They stay outside in the cold unnecessarily. The little match girl, she was outside. She's watching in through the windows. Everybody's windows is lit up, and people probably even see her outside. She sees herself. She didn't ask for help. They didn't come out to help. And she lit all her matches until they were gone. And she no longer had warmth to keep her warmth, so she, passed away. But they're saying you didn't do that. Many people choose, because that one was more not a literal death, like a metaphor, right? And for, like other people will not. So the Bambis of this world will humble themselves, will seek help from the forest friends, right? Won't try to do it all on their own. Whereas these people, like these women, will say, no, it has to be just me and me alone, because I am going to get all the glory. I'm going to be the victim. I'm smart enough. They overestimate themselves and underestimate the Bambis. So I'm hearing, no, you're the Bambi, and you chose to not, if you, when you were in the little match girl's position, because where that, whether you're male or female, what that feels like too, right? To be in that Five of Pentacles, to come from maybe low income, poverty, situations of lack, homelessness, whatever. But what you chose to do versus your counterparts was to knock on doors or go into the church. And it doesn't have to be the church, it could be a masjid, a Buddhist temple, whatever, but you chose to seek help, seek assistance, right? Cry out for that help, where others, thought that the only way to get a leg up, I'm hearing, was to manipulate, lie, steal, cheat, or try at it on their own. And I heard, sorry guys. And so it shall be, when the sun of human will burn bright no more. And the sun, not S-O-N, S-U-N, the sun of human. I thought, what were you saying, Spirit? Like the actual physical sun? Well, no, the sunlight within one's divinity, right? One sun, what the sun provides. Right now, I'm sitting in this sun, and it feels so good. It provides, I'm hearing, it's regulating my sympathetic and parasympathetic autonomic nervous system right now. It is providing warmth and hearth, right? Very similar to the match girl and the Five of Pentacles story I just said, interestingly enough. Will burn bright no more. Then they will know thyself, thine divinity, in its fullness of essence. So there is this sense where you cutting off your own sunlight within yourself, human, right? Man of hue, man, right? Woman. And now I'm just hearing, human, when you cut yourself off from the womb, man, right? When that sun, that light, that clarity leaves you in this complete darkness, is only then will you know thyself, right? Thine own divinity in its fullness of essence. They will be forced to contend with thyself and eat. Contend with thyself. Sorry, it's like fire shut up in my bones, my spirit. And either seek transformation or face annihilation of their ka, K-A, K-A, ka, K-A. I couldn't say that ka, which is Egyptian, I believe, for the soul, the very essence of light. Now I'm hearing your iman? No, isn't that your faith? But the ka is a Jewish word, nefesh. Yeah, the nefesh, the soul. Yeah, the ka, right? That is immortal death. Now I'm hearing the animus, right? The soul of the world, right? It's all interconnected, I'm hearing, right? And you will be forced to contend with thyself and either seek transformation. And there's something I had to circle the word contend. Hey Siri, what does the word contend mean?
Contend means struggle to surmount a difficulty or danger. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Yes.
It means assert something as a position in an argument.
Interesting. Okay, so thank you. They will be forced to contend with thyself and either seek transformation or face annihilation of their ka. That is the immortal death. All else is and can be transcended. So there was something about, that's what you, when you really truly experience this death, not this literal death, but this death, like I'm hearing like this chronic loneliness, this death, you know, where you can be in a crowded place but still feel alone, right? When you know, are cut off from your own, from the ability to see your own sun, right? Within your own SUN, your own divinity, right? Your own light with clarity, right? And it is only in going into this darkness initially, right? Like the heroine's journey, like the hero's journey. Like I'm hearing Isis taking you through the underworld, Anubis, the whole, you know, like weighing of the scale, all of these different, I'm hearing mythologies and religions, or, you know, mysticism and mystical and mythology and mythical, whichever place you want to categorize it. But it is symbology, it is an analogy, it is a metaphor, it is whatever, you know what I mean, of trying to tell you that it is in this going into this darkness, which, and I just heard abyss. So even if you don't believe in none of the spiritual, none of the mystical or mythical, then your deep subconscious, the unconscious aspects of yourself, which would be represented as like the darkness, right? That abyss or that shadow. That is when you are able to fully immerse yourself in that and accept it and see it and view it, and like, and I'm hearing like Persephone, go down there for those 6 months in the winter and then come back up in the spring and come back up from that. Then you can, you know, you will never, you can be, then consider yourself immortal, never dying, right? And the only immortal death is the failure to do that, right? The failure to go and contend with thyself, right? To seek that, you know, transformative process. Navigate your underworld, yeah, dear child, I heard. And you, I guess, will traverse no more. Hey Siri, definition for traverse.
As a verb, traverse means travel across or through. Do you want to hear the next one?
Yes.
As a verb, it means move something back and forth or sideways. Want to hear one?
And then I see here deny, right, as well, like in pleading. So traverse, right, moving.
Okay, I found this on the web for.
Okay. Then I was this morning reminded how I was instructed to plant basil. I had basil seeds. I had forgot totally about them, and I was led to plant them again. There was something about submerging my hands deep into the soil and feeling them. I have soil in my nail beds. I won't show them to you. I went to go clean them. I heard Spirit say, la in Arabic means no. No, do not wash it out. They wanted it in there. There was something about touching this soil and the blackness and the beauty of it, the darkness of it, right? And the fact that this seed was literally, I was pouring it, right? I excavated a hole, the depth of going into the abyss. Wow, I just thought of that. Wow, Spirit, you're phenomenal. Putting it in there and then covering, right? I just heard buried alive, right? Where one would think, I'm hearing like Bambi, it was left for dead, right? But no, it actually became the fertile ground for growth, Bambis. So very much like that basil seed. Then the basil, interestingly enough, basil, which means king in Greek. And then I got like a negative energy about that, something about, you know, those who like seek this kingdom versus, you know, yeah, there was something about that royalty or king being like patriarchal, misogynistic, like very much like that energy of those who were coming against the Bambis. Then the plant, the basil, I heard a floor wash, right? Cleansing spells. I know that I have done a floor wash in my house. So there was something about, for some of you, recommending a basil floor wash. Simple as getting some water, you don't have to buy it. Putting it on the stove, bubbling it, and then putting a nice handful of basil in the pot, letting it simmer for like 10 minutes, cooling it off, taking out the basil, and then utilizing that water to cleanse, to mop the house, the walls, whatever. And it's to help to move any stagnant energy and cause like movement, right, to any blockages or stuckness or energy that is impure or meant to harm in any kind of way. Then I was told that the basil plant helps with the sympathetic system. And then I heard autonomic system. Then I heard parasympathetic versus sympathetic. And it was beautiful because there was this understanding that although both the parasympathetic and sympathetic systems, which are both a part of the autonomic system, nervous system, seem to be opposing one another initially, but they're very much complementary. So there's something about these dualities within us, all around us, that seem to be in opposition or opposite to one another, but then wind up complementing each other. Maybe again, like the villains try to like oppose the heroes, but then as opposed to really opposing them, the winds up complementing them. You know, the soil over the sea seems like that's it. It's a dead end for the sea, but that becomes very much the first. So there is something about that. Then I thought of the body, and most of our the systems in our body, how initially in trying to survive it may reject certain things that we're trying to help it to survive. Okay. Oof, oof. They're coming in. Then I was told about Basil the Great, which was an actual figure in history from circa 300 to 379, who in eastern part of the world, so like the Eastern Catholic faith and stuff like, became the father of monasticism, in sense that he placed an emphasis on liturgical prayer, but that wasn't what Spirit wanted me to the focus was on his focus on communal, right, on these monks now that had took this monkhood or this monastic life, like Buddhists and other people in the Eastern, but then not, which would normally look like just hermetism, like being hermits and being to themselves. But no, he said no, what his focus was bringing them back within the community, and that really truly showed the love of God when the monks in and of themselves could work towards assisting the community. So there's something about, after going through these Bambi moments, after being buried or going into the abyss or into the subconsciousness, after passing the underworld to come back up, it is not for you to then be by yourself. The hermit, the by the self, was all very much a part of the journey, but it is kind of just very much like in the hero or heroine story, where they then come back, right, and share what they've learned and their giftings with the community at large. I was instructed to put, I'm not sponsoring them, this Dr. Paul, but there was something about it being vegan friendly or environmentally friendly. The sun again was illuminated to me, literally, but then that me feeling the warmth. I was told to stand in front of my window. I was told to make this pyramid shape above my third eye in front of it, and that directed the sun somehow directly to there, and I felt it a very powerful, intense way, while simultaneously turning on the faucet and allowing water to flow. There was something about utilizing both at the same time. The power of the sun as well as the running of the water became infused very powerfully, where I felt this rush of what, in the church we would say the Holy Ghost, right, the Spirit. I'm again very much like fire shun up in my bones. And then I was monk, communal, no more cleansing spells, substance. led to write down the 14 traits of what happens when a child receives little affection. They become overachievers, doers, becoming doers to earn or to validate their sense of self-worth. I can relate to that. I can relate to all 14. People pleasers, self-critical, difficulty regulating emotions. So they go from mood swings and outbursts. Chronically lonely, feeling chronically lonely, impaired sense of self, so unsure of who they are, unable to identify needs, different difficulty receiving affection, I apologize, fear of abandonment, trust issues, hyper independence, low self worth, fear of vulnerability, and afraid of rejection. Um, uh, creates a sense of value, creates a sympathetic vibration, resonant frequency, musical application, vibration, one affects and effects others. Dual energies. Again, so there's duality, right? Because with the when I asked what basil does, basil also, one of the things that came up, sorry if I'm confusing you, but one of the things that comes up with the properties of healing properties of basil is that it creates a sympathetic vibration. That's what the response was. So I asked, well, what is a sympathetic vibration? And it indicated that it was a resonant frequency. So you know how we say even in tarot videos, or when we go to a message at a masjid, at a church or wherever, and the word is being recited, right? And they say, well, I resonated with that. My spirit resonated with that, right? My spirit leaped, Mary. Right? Whatever. And those who knows know. But so there's this resonant frequency that occurs with energy, right? That is felt by the sympathetic system. And then it even went as far to write that there's a musical aspect or application of it, which then I, became overjoyed, because there is something for me with music. Music has vibration, energy. I mean, that's another video. But so then I'm like, well, how does the music apply? So the vibration of one musical instrument affects and effects another, right? Even if they're not in close contact. They use the also example of tuning forks. But it can happen between human beings, between instruments. There's something about that. And then again, there's these dual energies, right? Affect and effect. One is a verb, one is a noun. They seem to be different from one another, but yet complementary. So there's this big theme about that. Yeah, about something that seems opposite or in opposition, but actually complements. There was just some side notes from myself here. There was a video by the actress Essence where the guy asked her, what does self-care entail? And he responded when she gave her answer, well, that was great, because most people say that that's what you need, but don't give concrete examples. So there's something about not just leaving things theoretically or gathering information. Back to the analogy of those who think more logical and thought because they could study you, outsmart you, they thought they were more intelligent with you and underestimated your emotional intelligence. But there was something about making it more practical for people, actually giving concrete examples. People need assistance with that, and that becomes helpful for you if you are a healer or a person that is doing content, or in whichever form, shape, fashion. Dragon, they call this a dragon stone. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I don't know what this crystal necessarily is. I was told several days ago, or maybe about a week ago, that it's my dragon egg. And there's the dragon egg, a lot of people know it from Winter's Coming, Daenerys, or whatever, that's that show. But when it can symbolize strength, protection, and luck, both in the mythical and mystical It has both mythical and mystical, right? Mythical, that like, do dragons exist? Spiritual. And then when I looked up to my camera, I had it in front of me, my because there was something about my hair and being very lioness and very full and wanting it to be like almost puffed out, very mean, and feeling frustrated that I didn't know how to it's almost like get back to that look somehow. Interestingly enough, and accepting my grays also, but there's these red fiery undertones in my hair. There was something which this was also important, the fact that this has some orange tint to it. So there was something where, yeah, they matched these teacups. Then it came out birds of a feather flock together. Geese, right, when they fly south for the winter, they usually follow each other on formation. But on this teacup, I was told they're flying away from each other and they look angry. So there was something there. Again, if my nail is like, I'm not dirty, there was something about the soil and keeping it there. Hence another video where I was told, you know, to take off these acrylic nails. And, you know, again, this sense of authenticity, going back to nature, everything being natural. And then when I looked up, I saw the sign behind me, which I have behind me on my wall, my cup. Is another phrase, but when I read my cup, then I heard runneth over. That's a scripture from the Bible. And then I heard me first, right? Then I heard the flight attendant saying, if in case of an accident, an emergency, you know, remember to put your mask on first. Then I heard it in Spanish, primero yo, segunda yo, tercera yo, something about putting yourself first. When you put yourself first, then your cup is able to run it over, as opposed to the cup being empty. And these cups are empty. Maybe that's why they're angry, or maybe there's a separation between two people because they're flying in separate directions. And maybe winter is coming, because I did talk about that thing. And then flying south for the winter, right? Because they fly south for the winter to get to the sun, to be warm, to survive, to not be in lack mentality. And maybe both individuals are disagreeing on how to get south for the winter, right? So maybe you both agree that you need to get to the south, but how you're going to get there. And that's what's causing the discord. And that's the channeling. Ooh. Thank you, Spirit. And that was, wow, I said 15-20 minutes. It actually turned into 33:07. So I'll take note of that and I'll put that in there. 33:07. But this is the book Women Who Run with Wolves by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. It's Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. Interestingly enough, remember mythology and mystical and mythical came up, so there's something about that. In here is where I first heard the story of the little match girl. I didn't know that she took all these stories from around the world, particularly of women. The girl with the red shoes, the woman and that was a mermaid. I mean, so many different myths and stories from around the world, from different cultures. So a deeply spiritual book. She honors what is tough, smart, and untamed in women. She venerates the female soul. So this is a book I've been reading for years, literally for years. I can only pick it up in doses, interestingly enough. I heard. And I, like Bibliomancy, was told to just randomly pick and insert this. This is a little card. It's called Crash Team Rumble. It's an actual game. For whoever this is important for somebody. I found these 4 little cards on the floor walking my dog, and I was told to pick them up. Yes, I brought them home. I didn't know for what at that time, but obviously they were for this. And I was told to put a placer here, and the first thing I just saw was battle scars, membership in the Scar clan. So I don't know if Spirit wants me, Okay. Involved in keeping the secret, the psyche is affected in the same way. Here is one example. One woman whose husband 40 years earlier had committed suicide 3 months after they were married was urged by his family to not only hide the evidence of his major depressive illness, but also her deep emotional grief and anger from that time. As a result, she developed a dead zone regarding his anguish, her anguish, as well as her rage as at the cultural stigma attached to the entire event. She allowed the husband's family to betray her by agreeing to their requirement that she never reveal the fact of their cruel treatment of her husband over the years. And each year, on the anniversary of her husband's suicide, there was dead silence from the family. No one called to say, "How are you feeling? Would you like some company? Do you miss him? I know you must. Shall we go out and do something together?" This woman dug her husband's grave once more and buried her grief alone year after year. Eventually, she began to avoid other days of commemoration, anniversaries, and birthdays, including her own. The dead zone spread from the center of the secret outward, not only overtly covering commemorative events, but then stretching to celebratory events and even beyond. All of these familial and friendship events were disparaged by the woman, who overtly considered them a waste of time. To her unconscious, however, they were empty gestures, for no one had come to her in her times of despair. Her chronic grief, that shameful secret keeping, had eaten into the area of her psyche that governed relatedness. Most often we wound others where, or very close to where, we have been wounded ourselves. If a woman desires, however, to retain all her instincts and abilities to move freely within her psyche, she can reveal her secret or secrets to one trustworthy human being and recount them as many times as necessary. A wound is usually not disinfected once and then forgotten, but it is tended to and washed several times while it heals. When a secret is finally told, the soul needs more response than, "Oh, really? That's too bad," or "Oh, well, life is tough," from both the teller and the listener. The teller has to try not to depreciate the matter. And it is a blessing if the listener is a person who can listen with a full heart and can wince, shiver, and feel a ray of pain cross his or her own heart and not collapse. Part of healing from a secret is to tell it so that others are moved by it. In this way, a woman begins to recover from shame by receiving the succor and tending she missed during the original trauma. And I'm told to stop there. So there is something there. One of the things I was reminded of when it mentioned wound, and it was here and I didn't read it out loud, that was one of the spiritual properties of the healing properties, interestingly enough, maybe even spiritual properties of basil, that it was used as an herb to heal wounds. Then I was instructed to bring my book, Parable of the Sower. Interesting, as I sowed seeds this morning, I was instructed to do the same. Again, it's interesting that I used the same character for these two female books. And I don't know, but he looks very, I just heard docile, very whimsical, very like he would be categorized to many as, I just heard foolish, stupid, right? Like dumb looking, right? Like now I'm seeing Dante from Coco, who, even the little boy calls him, "You're just a dumb dog," right? Which then is making me think of Bambi again. And when I flipped open this one, I was told to read from this page. The first thing that just caught my eye is the number 8. So there's something about the 8. The numerology of the number 8, which I just heard strength again, right? Which would then go back to, because I was going to look it up with Siri, but they said no, stick to strength and protection, which then is reminding me to go back to the dragon egg, what I call a dragon egg, yes. And then the title up top is To Get Along with God, Consider the Consequences of Your Behavior. Earthseed, the Books of the Living. Did I give? Yeah. Oh, and the author is Octavia E. Butler. Tracy Dunn has not come home and has not been found by the police. I don't think she will be. Okay, they're saying it's not to read the whole thing. It was just that. The number 8. And then it says, to get along with God, consider the consequences of your behavior. And I'm hearing not God, that, very Western, patriarchal, and they're saying not just Western, but that very misogynistic, male dominated, patriarchal God, right? When to get along with divinity, they would like me to replace it, right? And then it reminded me to go back to what I channeled, that inner divinity. Consider the consequences of your behavior, right? So that, again, there is this call to this self-reflective process. Now they're saying, ask Siri. Hey Siri, number meaning of the number 8.
As a noun, number means.
Sorry, I should have said numerology. Hey Siri, numerology of the number 8.
In numerology, the number 8 symbolizes power and prosperity.
So the power and prosperity, right? So they're saying that, and I'm hearing my ancestors' divinity, what they're relating to, or what they want to bring forth by this reading of this sentence here, and that number 8 is that the power and prosperity of oneself, right? Now I'm hearing in contrast to the little match girl, or to that lack mentality from the 5 of Pentacles, right? It's directly correlated with getting along with God, right? And when they're saying God, they're saying the divinity within you, right? Your God, goddess, you, right? If you're male, you're female, right? And then consider the consequences of your behavior when you are not getting along with self, right? And even to reflect on your daily behaviors, patterns, and or routines. Are they aiding you? Are they putting you first, right? Is it filling your cup up, right? And that type of strength and protection, power and prosperity is as a result of looking at that, right? And getting along with oneself. Yeah. The books of the living, earth seed, right? Yeah, there's something about your earth seed, you as an earth seed, right? If we're all part of this collective consciousness, this collective divinity, you being that seed, you are part of these, you are a book of the living, a walking book of the living, and part of your story, or immersed in your story is, maybe I just heard I Got a Story to Tell by Biggie, right? We all have a story to tell. It will encompass how to, you came to get along with divinity, right? Both within yourself and collectively. And that part of that process was considering the consequences of your behavior. And I'm hearing the consequences, when we say consequences, some of you are just thinking negative. No, the beneficial ones as well, right? What are the consequences of your behavior? And again, as I put this little picture, it was like, this is something that the Bambis do. It's almost like you do this so innately, so automatically, right? Where you begin to self-reflect after you've did a certain behavior or was a part of something, that it becomes so innate and so instinctive to you that you don't even realize you're doing it. But that's what makes you, kind of look like this to people. But look, he's skating, he's getting through like very successfully, right? And this is like a board game, like a video game. So I don't know why I'm thinking like Sonic the Hedgehog or something, but it's called Crash Team Royal Rumble. Then I was instructed the 12-week year, right? Which is telling you, like, I'm just hearing like this very outline, methodological logical step-by-step process. And I was told to do the same with this book. But with this one, I was told to put this character in. And right, he's like the villain here. He's the brainiac. And it came, interestingly enough, I put it in. There was something about it being in sideways, right? Not even upright. And what's on this book, they actually have, you can see so spiritual, spouse, key, relationships, family, community, physical, personal, and business. So it's like I'm hearing an integrative approach. Personal commitments are a powerful way that you can create change in your life and life every 12 weeks. So commitment to others is the title on this, and it says the second type of commitment that I want to explore relates to the promises you make to others. To begin to address how to be even more successful in keeping these promises, take a few minutes and answer the questions below. Spirit says stop there. So this is something, right, because it came outside, that this type of mentality, these type of individuals, and it's no shade, no tease, because I'm hearing you were there as well, and you can be there again. We do it with different aspects along our journey of growth and transformation. But that this person, and even looks, right, like very me, mine, right? But, and which is, I'm hearing somebody say, but you just said take heed your cup. But there's a difference. This me, my stays there, while that me, my, if that's the way you want to, is for the purposes of community. Hence why they're pointing out this integrative circle here. And then again, commitment to others, which they classify, the authors of this book, Brian P. Morin and Michael Lennington, is something about naming people, giving credit to their work. That's why they had me stop again with Octavia Butler to make sure. But anyway, and then it's interesting, Spirit is just telling me these two books are by women. Look at the references or mind frame or the topics of subject. I'm hearing that they're choosing to extrapolate, evolve, enhance, extrapolate upon, versus very male oriented. And again, there's nothing about the man that throwing shade or tea, because again, right, these two very dual, what may be seeming to be opposing and opposite, can be very complementary. Spirit, you the bomb. It was this card that came out in this deck. Hold on. Yes, harmony, right? It causes harmony. There's this heart and head that both together, right, flowing causes harmony, right? When these two lovers look intently into each other's eyes, or when you yourself are able to pair these two, right, the heart and the mind, the masculine and the feminine, right, by going into this deep unconscious, then you can create. Oh my God, these cards came out for like my own personal reason yesterday, and yeah, Spirit just brought them back up. But this is, look at his head, is even really big. This is a very, I'm hearing heady. I'm seeing Gina or Martin talking about may he rest in peace, Tommy. Heady, when they're busting on each other, right? But commitment to the promises that you make to others, right? And how we should become more successful in keeping these promises, right? And then told me, and when we fail to, there's a loss of integrity, a loss of confidence in the person who let us down, loss of trust, a breakdown in relationship. These are some of the impacts of broken promises on each party and on the relationships, right? Yeah, interesting. So there has to be some type of focus or emphasis. And we talked about that, right, when I was channeling, that there is this direction, right, with the monasticism, when we were talking about Basil the Great, right, when he placed the emphasis, he moved monasticism, from a very individualistic by yourself to, or even within just the monks, right, to a very no, come out the monkhood or the monastery, right, into the community, right? And then they even made a distinction in Eastern Orthodox, or, you know, they don't call themselves the Basilian sect because they all believe that. Whereas in the West, there's certain monks that are under that order. I just heard, my nose is itching, my ancestors is definitely present, which, because not all of them take up that approach. But those who follow after Basil the Great, they go into the community. I just got a flash of like colonization, so that was something else. Okay. Then the last book I was so interestingly enough is the 48 Laws of Power, right, by Robert Greene, which another male. And you know, you have famous people like Jay-Z and other rappers and female rappers quoting this book, right? And there's a female rapper, Rhapsody. Oh God, I'm messing it up. God forgive me as a female. But where she says she didn't read the 48 Laws of Power, and then she even refers or makes an analogy to, if I'm not mistaken, to her vagina or her womb as that being the power, right? And her father said that at her birth or something. I'm messing up the lyrics at all. But there's something in one of her songs where she's contradicting. She says, I don't believe that this is the way to get ahead, right? Which would go back to the Bambis, right? Which would go back to, yeah, they're saying look her up. Do not dismiss her, even before I read that. Right? Because there's something about that. That's what's done to the feminine. Because she specifically says proudly, I didn't read the 48 Laws of Power. Yeah, Rhapsody Power lyrics. Yep. She says, invested, pursue. Ooh, I never read the 48 Laws. The power of the dussy make a grown man cry. Badge make police. Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah. Right, very contradictory, where when you talk to a lot of the men, and even some of the men that we hold as like powerful men currently in our patriarchy, I just heard, they all, you know, oh, Robert Greene's 48 Laws. And that's no shade of tea against Robert Greene. I mean, again, I'm hearing he was very astute. He was able to capitalize on very prominent aspect, right? The masculinity, right? But there is an imbalance, I'm hearing. Not from Robert Greene necessarily, but there has been an imbalance. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. So interestingly enough, when I just picked it up, it's upside down. There's something about it. So anyway, it landed on Law 39, which then reads, stir up waters to catch fish. Judgment, anger, and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance. Find the chink in their vanity through which you can rattle them, and you hold the strings. Right, there is this thing, yeah, right? How am I going to dominate you? How am I going to get over you, right? How will I get a leg up? I don't know. I just heard this whole Machiavelli, right? Machiavelli. And I'm hearing too, like, come with me, Hail Mary. What do you have here now? Ninjas want to ride, I ain't no killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting. Let's see. Right? There's something about, yeah, there's something. I just heard that hatred towards the womb, the vagina, this fear. And they're saying the womb or the vagina in the sense of like this emotionality, right? And even anger as a bad thing, right? and the fact that you need to repress it and control it, which I'm hearing hence does the opposite, is contradictory. It just revels, royal rumbles, toils, causes more anger. You're just suppressing it more. And then interesting, I'm looking at the back sheet before the Lord 39 is image, the black sheep. The herd shuns the black sheep, uncertain whether or not it belongs with them, so it struggles behind or wanders away from the herd, where it is cornered by wolves and promptly devoured. Stay with the herd. There is safety in numbers. Keep your differences in your thoughts and not in your fleece. And I just heard the devil is a liar. There is something powerful about the black sheep. Oh, and there was a movie I just watched. What was it, Spirit? Don't let me forget. It was a cartoon. Oh, The Glitch. It was in Wreck-It Ralph, right? Talking about Ralph wrecked things, and then Fix It Felix came, right? It's these dualities. But, oh, what was her name? I just had Jumpaline. Oh, I just got chills all over my body. They called her the Glitch. See how we don't even want to remember. We don't even name them. Again, that's hence the black sheep, right? And then even this hatred towards blackness I'm hearing, right? I just heard blackness. Keep on, keep on. In the midst of, no matter how hard reality seems, souls of blackness. To never say never. As long as you keep your head to the sky. Right, there's again talking to God. God is right, this divinity, right? This sense. And then again, right, the person who has their head to the sky, they look like the foolish one because they're walking around looking up. Whereas this person would say, no, look straight, keep focused, look where you're going, watch what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like this sense of like, I just heard anxiety and like, I don't know, right? I just got all like that myself. It's like, no. So anyway, in the whole premise, spoiler alert, if you ever didn't watch Wreck-It Ralph, but go watch it in Wreck-It Ralph, the Glitch. Oh my God, why can't I remember this young lady's name in the movie? Again, kind of like I almost didn't remember Rhapsody. There's something about when you don't name it, or if you, oh, now I'm hearing that quote. It's easy to prey on people when they become nameless and faceless, right? Because then you don't have to ascribe humanity to them. Now I'm hearing back going to the human, when the son out of human, right? When you take that divinity, when you fail to see the divinity in self and in others, right? Then you want to take power over them, and you want to create all these laws and this Machiavellian principle of, you know, oh, fake the funk, fake the death, you know what I'm saying? And then come and stab some other way. When you fail to not want to hear the other story, right? The stories, the myths, right? Whether you believe them to be myths or truths or not, but it's in this story that we connect right now. Seeing Moana, where, you know, the island connected, you know, all of the peoples, right? It gave way to currents to reach all peoples, right? From different diversities, and how that was trying to be suppressed. There is something about that spirit, right? And it is the black sheeps, those who are counted out or looked at as dumb or naive. They're the ones that are going to, that are like showing, because they're carrying, they're displaying the characteristics, the innocence, the naivety, right? Enough to be foolish enough to go and to flow without trying to be so calculating, right? And it's not that the calculating people don't have the same thing. We all have this divinity, but when you're trying to control it so much, you're unable to just allow the flow. Wreck-It Ralph. There was something else. Oh, Spirit, slow down or not. Vanellope. There you go. That's the little girl, Vanellope. The whole time, the guy with the crown, the prince. Oh my God, these are the cards that came out yesterday. Spirit. And this card, the Empress, she's putting the little crown on this prince or whatever. But this guy, right, he already has it on the, and I know that he has the flowers here, but it's decorative. There's nothing growing on these branches. It's barren. It's about this Empress. So he was the one who deleted the files on Vanellope. Vanellope wasn't the glitch. She was actually the main star of the thing. And then that's one of the lines. I was never the problem. I have always been the solution. And it's not just from Wreck-It Ralph. It was from another movie I just watched. I was never the problem. Not Hunger Games. Divergent. Divergent, yeah. Where, remember in the movie Divergent, spoiler alert, you know, the whole time she's running, she's thinking she's the problem, the fact that she's a divergent. And at the end, she was the one that was needed to unlock the code. And the whole time, you know, she finally got it. She finally realized she was able to speak up against the other feminine. Thank you, Spirit, because in that one, it was a woman. And so it is also this. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. You know, whether we all have different political views. I'm not telling you to ascribe to mine, but I have to stay true to mine. Yes, as a woman, I find it very difficult to vote for a male, any male. It doesn't matter that his name is Trump, but any male that would be okay with disrespecting women by grabbing their vagina. Oh my God, right? We've been told the spirit and urinating on them and things of that nature, and disrespectful and saying that it's okay. So and talking about them in derogatory ways, or even saying that their race or anything had anything to do, I mean, unintelligible things. So that women have also been conditioned to buy into that, right? So maybe this empress is putting this crown on this child, right? Again, saying, oh my God, you're the one that's breeding this, right? Yeah, conditioning, right? They also, right? And then there's something about this woman ripping the heart out of this man too, right? It's something about the society or in the household. Now I'm hearing, like, even though this term is used too much, narcissistic mothers, but where we're taught, right, to do this to men, right, or to our male counterparts, right, and then claim the victory. But look, he's soulless, faceless. Again, and it's not justifying anything for men. I guess it's just Spirit's way of calling the, how we're all implicated, yes, and how we do it, right? I'm guilty, right? I remember taking, pride in this type shit, you know what I mean? Especially if I felt like he hurt me, right? In any kind of way, right? Back to daddy issues, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Right, and that we're indoctrinated with these types of laws of power. You see how interestingly enough, Spirit brought it right back. Like, don't think you're so out of it, or you're so enlightened, or you're so transformed, right? Because that's something I'm hearing, that the spiritual, quote unquote, or mythical, quote unquote, or occult, or whatever, whether you want to call it vibrations, energy, spirit, divinity, whatever, we try to like separate us. Oh, those low vibrational people. Bullshit. Call bullshit. But yeah, that type of, I just heard monarchy, right? That type of building relationship and households on that type of, no, but it is rather this type of way that then builds true, and that's an empress too, creativity. Look like Tahiti from Moana, the first one, right? But look, the sun and the moon, right? And again, I just burped, confirmation burp. So it is going deep into the consciousness to be able to look at each other directly in one another's eyes, face to face. I see you, I heard. I hear you, right? And I accept you, right? Back to that transfer. The whole channeling in the beginning when we were talking about relationships, right? And when I try to change you, and how that puts pressure, and how that creates all this, bad juju, I just heard, right? But it's only when the heart and the logic both align that there's harmony again. But this is one person. So, and the lovers means choice, right? So when we can successfully do this, then we can successfully create from this place. Again, my runneth over. But when we try to build this based on this, and this, I just heard bullshit. 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 Yeah. And it's returning back to this childlike innocence that sees the beauty in all things, great and small. Okay. Was that the message, Spirit? I think so. Yeah. I think that was it. I'm not hearing anything else. Yep. On that note, I would like to tank something. Hey Siri, what does it mean to tank something?
To tank means to do something badly or fail at it. This answer is from definder.net.
Interesting. To tank means to do something badly or fail at it. I would like to tank. What did you mean by that, Spirit? I don't believe in coincidences. They're saying there's other meanings, there's other definitions to tank. Because when I heard tank, I heard like a tank, like, you know, one of those army tanks. Tank. I knew. The word tank has multiple meanings, including a heavily armored combat vehicle. That's what I thought of. A large container for storing liquids, and a type of job class in a video game. Interesting. So that's what it is. Okay. So there's something about the armored truck. I mean, maybe that's what we do, or that's what we've become. But there was something about going back to the ending it with the actual Crash Team Rumble game. Thank you, Spirit. Crash Team Rumble is a 4x4 team-based competition where the iconic heroes and villains of the Crash universe battle to capture more Wumpa fruit. Than the other to claim victory. Yes, Spirit, I hear you. So see, remember how just now Spirit said bullshit when I said those who then want to say that they're the enlightened ones, right? Because I even set it up that way, right? Oh my God, Spirit calling me out in public. These things, they got the answers, right? This is how you do it, through monastery reflection, you know, and choosing oneself, and thy cup runneth over my cup, and bringing perfect harmony, and this is the true creatress. And here, no, this is it, right? You establish this monarchy, or this way of living through emperorship from the 48 laws of power, and then, you know, which then in turns makes her rebel against that and one up him, and then she takes pride and victory of it, but then turns around and then breeds this and is raising this. It's like a repetitive circle. So these type of empresses, styles of creating, you know, seem in opposition, like in Royal Tree and Combo, and they're both trying to get the Wumpa fruit. I don't even know what the Wumpa fruit is, puñeta. Is it important, Spirit, what the Wumpa fruit is? Wumpa and bringing it to their team's bank. Blockers who focus on defending the goals and keeping the other team from scoring. And boosters who focus on activating gem platforms and collecting relics to unlock powers. Oh, and I even heard, see that, even you spirit, you focus on creating, on unearthing relics, right? I just heard relics like the great Basil, not the no tea or shade against them, but you want to bring up these people, right? And things like the Buddha and all this other stuff to say these are the examples, yet you don't live by it fully yourself. If you're in war and competition with one another. Interestingly enough, it's saying we must go back to the drawing board. I almost said the scoreboard. Right? These are both pages, right? These childlike views. I just saw the Hangman. And I believe he came out for me too. Yeah, it was another deck. Oh, I was in this one. They're saying flip this over. Did I? Choice again, the Lovers. Two of Cups. Refusing to see. Thinking that building, right? Money and wealth. Which then leaves you with bad shit in this Ten of Wands. Trying to, yeah. But there was something else. Where is it? Yeah, thinking we could build, right? This legacies, right? This is what we're saying. Oh, where is it? This is the one that came up. Where did it go? It was the Hangman. It was looking at it from a different perspective. Wow. Yeah, and you see this? These dualities, they become masculine then against feminine when if combined, right? Thank you, Spirit. I just heard it again. Oh. I'm doing it by size order, not female. Even the way I wanted to order, God, I'm guilty as me. I cut down the cherry tree. Back to the autonomic nervous system. It is one system in the same body from the same divinity, right? Which is now I'm hearing that's the issue too. That how can you say you want the health of this whole system, right? Meaning your body, if you are in opposition with the very other system within your same body that needs to be in agreement or work together for the establishment and wellness and wholeness of the whole system. It's contradictory, right? And not in a complementary way. Hence why you're flying away from each other. Oh, God. All in my face. Right? But if you notice, when we look up the autonomic system, right, which Spirit had me do earlier, and I wrote the parasympathetic versus, I put versus sympathetic, right? There you go, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems are two parts of the autonomic nervous system that have opposite but complementary roles in the body. That's the key. That Spirit is getting us and is admonishing us. Oh yeah, my ear is itching those to look at it instead of one-upping one another, instead of, right? Instead of money, power, and respect is what you need in life, right? And or no, creativity. You just do it through the blossoming of spirituality or religion or whatever. That they're two, AI said it best. Oh, that's scary. Two parts that have opposite but complementary roles. And if it is not providing complementary results, then that's the problem. That's when it becomes an issue. That's when it becomes problematic. And now I'm being, because I got 3 cards from here. Interestingly enough, timing came out, because I'm hearing the time is now. And maybe, you know, for those of you who don't believe this, but whatever. But maybe because now we're going into what is said as the Aquarius season, right? That now is the time, right? And look, yeah, I kept saying winter, right? And I used the dragon's egg, Daenerys, right? And winter outside, the church, right? The people in the cold, right? Yet this is sprouting. The timing is now for this union of these 2 opposite but complementary parts of the same system. I don't know if I can show this. I'll cover here. The intuition, right? I just heard, I can feel it in the air. I can hear it in your voice, right? My spidey senses is tingling. Thank you, Beanie. Love you, brother. Fellow Philadelphian as well. And then alchemy, right? The magician, the one, right? This is now the beginning. And look at the sword, parting the waters or the fires. Oh, wow. There's water, earth, fire, all the elements. Yeah, the magician. Right now I'm hearing the Arthurian sword, right? Interestingly enough. But there's a female, right? Interesting, holding the King Arthurian sword. But the aspect of the ability of the person, because now I'm hearing Thor, right? And then the other Thor, now you see his girlfriend. She's a Thor person now too. And she actually has the hammer, right? But there's this, right? And the only other person besides those 2 that can now hold the hammer has been able to, is Captain America, right? But why? In Captain America, if you're an Avenger fan, obviously you must be, Spirit has me bringing this up, was the fact that he had this pure, he was pure of heart. And I just got chills, right? That Bambi spirit, right? That is ridiculed, laughed at, interestingly enough, but mostly feared. Right? And now I'm hearing Iron Man feared, you know, that of Captain America the most. I don't know where that's from or what that's about, but you Avenger people. I love Avenger. I'm an Avenger person too, but I'm not, you know, I know there's some of us who kind of like Klingon. Oh God, I used to be able to do it, right? Lord, you know. Here you go. Right? Spock. Ooh, oh, my spider, you know. Left there is, when I did that Klingon, the whole left brain started, right? Which would be masculine, right, feminine, right of you. Ah! Okay. And that's the true alchemy. Yeah. And although I'm not gonna lie, I have issues with him right now. Like there's something within my spirit. Please forgive me, Lord, if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that phrase in the song between B and Jay-Z, but when he's saying it's like alchemy, right? The way he continues, they rise or whatever this, it's like alchemy, right? It's intuitive. It's this union, right? And the power of what unions can do, right? Whether for, because we talked about consequences earlier, you know, and they could be negative or positive, right? Beneficial or not beneficial, nevertheless. And that's another thing. That's the thing right there too, that this is what astonishes people. Here it is, winter, cold, you know, barrenness, whiteness, freezing or whatever. Yet, I just heard Tupac, the rose that grew in concrete. This is what baffles, right? This is love. This is spirit. This is the divinity within all human men, right? All have this ability and capability, right? May approach it from different perspectives, right? But if honed and I don't know, this intentionality of what? Spirit of love? Then both, although opposite, can complement and aid and facilitate in the success, survival, thriving of the of the same system, right? This oneness. And as I said, the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. But I first must recognize the divinity in me. And look what's up looking at me smiling. All right. Look at this. And in this card, I see people who are able to be within their own autonomy authentically, and then together commune. Spirit, you the bomb.com. You bring it full circle. And that is the way we can move forward. It's something about putting down this bag. Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back. Carrying all those bags like that. Yes. Oh wow. Couple. The queen and king. Look. Yes. Yes, daughter. Yes. But the tower must come. Yes. Okay. I think now truly. Yeah, I just heard that's the true Royal Rumble in the jungle. I don't know, I just heard Muhammad Ali when he was going to go fight, when he did fight in Africa. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message. Thank you to my ancestors, my guides, your ancestors. This collective consciousness I'm hearing, right? This oneness, for we truly are one, right? We are simultaneously together and apart, right? Autonomous and interdependent, right? And it is my deep, sincere prayer, right, that we are moving in that direction. Always. I heard it's intentional. Yeah, it will take some intentionality on our behalf. Until then, may you remain safe and know that you are loved and that we need you, right? We are all integral to the wholeness of this system. Ashe, Amen, Amen, beloved. Until next time, inshallah.